Good morning. It's Thursday, September 7th. I'm Michelle Griego.
And I'm Kenny Choi. So far, there are now at least 10 deaths being blamed on Hurricane Irma. The United Nations estimates that as many as 37 million people could be affected when all is said and done.
CBS News' Meg Oliver is live in Miami Beach this morning, where residents are getting prepared. Meg?
Michelle and Kenny, mandatory evacuations here along Miami Beach go into effect at noon. As you can see behind me, crews are working to clear the beach. They're taking everything off, from that lifeguard stand to every trash can. Hurricane Irma skirted by Puerto Rico, but Irma still left much of the island in the dark. Officials there say nearly 1 million people have no power. On St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, neighborhoods are underwater. Barbuda, one of the first Caribbean islands where Irma made landfall, took a major hit. The Prime Minister says nearly every building was damaged by the storm.
What I saw was heart-wrenching. I mean, absolutely devastating.
The storm, which still has sustained winds of 185 miles per hour, is heading to the Bahamas on its way towards Florida.
Here in Miami, mandatory evacuations are underway for high-risk areas along the coast. For everyone else, authorities are urging people to get out of Irma's way as quickly as possible.
For those looking to evacuate by air, American Airlines says it will wind down operations on Friday afternoon in southern Florida before completely canceling flights throughout the weekend.
The big fear is that the eye of the storm will barrel across Miami. Everyone that I have talked to, they're boarding up and heading out. Nobody wants to take a chance with Irma. Kenny and Michelle.
And Meg, what's happening to the cruise ships coming in?
Good question, Michelle. We saw a couple of them actually very early this morning, slowly coming into port. There are thousands of passengers on these ships. They have two options. They can either stay on board or get off and try to go to higher ground. If they stay on board, those ships are going to slowly take off again to safer seas later today.
Meg Oliver, thank you.
Today, PG&E crews from the Bay Area are getting ready to lend a helping hand in Florida. KPIX 5's Katie Nielsen is live at the PG&E facility in Hayward to explain. Katie.
Kenny, just a few minutes ago, a couple of those crew members did show up to the station here in Hayward. They're part of a 9-man team that is going to be leaving Hayward tomorrow. Right now, they're just here to pack up all their necessary gear and equipment. Florida Power and Light requested help from PG&E. 100 linemen, engineers, and logistics specialists from across PG&E stations in California are heading to Florida tomorrow to be on hand to help restore power after Irma blows through. It's part of a mutual aid agreement between PG&E and Florida Power.
This is all part of a mutual aid agreement that we signed in 2014 with Florida Power and Light, essentially saying should they have a major disaster like a hurricane, we'll be there for them. If we have a major catastrophe like an earthquake, Florida will come and support us.
Forecast models are showing that storm could hit the southern part of Florida about Sunday night. And they say that because of those strong sustained winds, they are expecting power outages across southern Florida. So these PG&E crews that are going to be heading out will definitely be on hand to help restore power. Live in Hayward, Katie Nielsen, KPIX 5.
Katie, thank you. Now let's send it over to Michelle and Neda. They're tracking the Category 5 hurricane from the Weather Center.
Yeah, certainly a lot of preparations are being made ahead of Hurricane Irma, but that storm there could be a chance that it gets pushed off of the coast, right?
It could. That's why we're really closely watching this colder air that's coming through. So that's really going to help determine it. We need that jet stream to dip, and it could really knock it out into the Atlantic. So let me show you what that means. Right now, you see that area of green on your screen? Well, that's the cold front. So if that dips lower, we need it to time out just right, where the storm actually reaches Florida as this dips at the same time, and then it could push it out of here. If it misses, though, then that means it could make more of a direct impact on Florida. So here is the track right now, as we've been talking about, heading towards the Bahamas this morning, moving west-northwest still in that same direction. Winds sustained at 180, gusts as high as 220 this morning, and this is where we're watching this turn. It will downgrade to a Category 4. Here's the cone of uncertainty. It all depends on what that cold front does to the north of this storm system. And if it does push it out, that would be great news. Right now, the cone of uncertainty is right here. It could barrel its way through Florida, along all the eastern states, or it could just be right along that coastline. So really, it's going to make a big difference, obviously, what that jet stream does. And once it gets to Florida, it could reach a Category 3, 120-mile-per-hour winds, still the types of winds that could knock down power lines, trees, rooftops, cause a lot of damage, a lot of rain also associated with this one. Here's where Hurricane Irma is right now. Look at the eye of the storm, still massive. These storm-force winds extend as far as 300 to 400 miles because of the size of this hurricane. Right now, the impacts on the Bahamas, really what we're watching next. Storm surge could be 20 feet, rain 20 inches. So that's certainly going to cause major flooding as the ocean lifts and covers those islands there. And also right behind this one is Jose. I want to track that real fast for you, show you what's going on with Jose. There it is. So as Jose starts to work its way across the Atlantic, could hit the Leeward Islands as a Category 3. So these two hurricanes back to back for the Leeward Islands. We really got to feel for all those people living on those islands. They're now left with nothing.